Off the coast of Brazil, there is a beautiful green island that is almost not for humans. Its name is Ilha da Queimada Grande, but the world knows it as Snake Island.
From afar, it looks like a peaceful forest rising from the vast ocean. But behind that quiet green is one of the most dangerous places in the South Atlantic.
On this island, the dense jungle covers everything, hiding movement beneath the canopy.
Near the ground, every rotten leaf and damp root can hide a deadly threat. This is the territory of the Golden Lancehead Viper, a snake found only on this island. They don't need to roar or chase. Their presence alone makes the island a forbidden zone.
Ocean isolation turned this place into an evolutionary laboratory.
Thousands of years ago, sea levels rose, separating the island from the mainland. When the sea became a wall, the creatures trapped here had to adapt or vanish.
The Golden Lancehead adapted to the low forest, the seabirds, and the solitude. Their main food source is the birds that visit or pass through the island. A normal branch can be a resting spot for a bird, but also a place where danger waits. Snakes don't need to move much. Patience and camouflage are their weapons. The pale yellow head and motionless eyes make them nearly invisible. This is why humans are almost never allowed on the island. It's not just for legends, but to protect people and the snakes themselves. Snake Island is not just dangerous, it is a fragile and rare ecosystem. The Golden Lancehead has no second home. Losing this island means losing their natural existence. Rain falls on the forest, making every path slippery and unpredictable.
In these conditions, the snake's colors blend even more with the earth and rocks.
From the cliffs to the trees, there are few flat places for a stranger's foot. Even reaching the shore is hard due to waves and steep rocks.
There are no tourist roads or crowded beaches, just forest and silence.
That silence is not entirely peaceful, for it contains creatures that know how to wait. A forked tongue touches the air, reading scents and movements that humans cannot perceive. On Snake Island, even a vibrating leaf can make the atmosphere tense. But the snakes here are not monsters. They are predators that have adapted perfectly. The relationship between birds and snakes defines the quiet rhythm of this island. Birds bring life from outside, but accidentally step into a predatory web. With slender bodies and the ability to grip branches, they live in every layer of the forest. They use the lower forest, where branches meet like secret paths. Their movement is very slow, but that slowness makes everything more terrifying. In a few seconds, a snake can vanish behind leaves as if it were never there. That is why this place is dangerous, not because it is loud, but because it is hard to see. The ocean isolates the island, and the jungle hides its residents in layers of green.
There is an old lighthouse on the island, standing silent between the sea breeze and the thick trees.
The stories around it add a layer of dark legend to the island.
But even without legends, the ecosystem itself is enough to keep humans at a distance. Here, a creature less than a few meters long can decide the rules of the island. Their venom is extremely potent, partly to adapt to migratory bird prey. In this ecosystem, every fallen feather is a trace of an invisible predatory chain. Birds come and go, but the snakes remain, tied to this isolated land. As evening falls, the forest darkens quickly, and every small sound becomes strangely clear. A coiled body under leaves can look like a tree root until it moves. Snake Island needs no walls. The ocean, rocks, and venom are enough to keep it separate. At night, the island becomes a dark mass amidst the waves of the Atlantic. In the shadows, human eyes are useless, but the predators belong to this darkness. Dry leaves rustle slightly, waking the instinct of alertness. Without loud noises, a snake lying still makes the whole frame tense. Outside, waves still hit the cliffs, reminding us there is no easy escape. In the damp layers, colors blend, making snakes and roots hard to distinguish. The next morning, the island is bright green again, as if the dangerous night never happened.
That is the paradox of Snake Island. The more peaceful it looks, the more terrifying its secrets.
Under the sun, the yellow-brown scales appear as a natural part of the island. It doesn't need to show power, its existence is power.
When it vanishes, the fear doesn't leave. It spreads across the ground.
From above, it's just a patch of green, but below is a world of strict limits.
No inviting sand, no clear paths, just sharp rocks and thick forest.
The old lighthouse stands as a rare human trace on an island that doesn't belong to them.
But the forest is taking back every space, covering it with leaves and roots.
For the Golden Lancehead, every stone is a path or an ambush spot. They don't need to be many. One individual is enough to change the feeling of a place.
This is not a wild park to view closely, but a forbidden zone of nature. Only authorized researchers can approach, and even they must be extremely careful. For most, the safest way to see Snake Island is from afar, out at sea.
That distance doesn't make it less mysterious. It makes it a warning. If we only look with fear, we miss a more important story. This snake is not just dangerous, it is a rare result of evolution. The sea between the island and the mainland created a unique history for them.
Being isolated, they rely on available food, especially birds in the canopy.
A moment of rest for a bird is a chance for survival for the predator. The island doesn't need noise. Every hunt begins with stillness. Sometimes the prey passes, sometimes the chance vanishes, and the forest returns to silence. That rhythm happens every day, with almost no human eyes to witness it. They don't rule the island with loud power, but with absolute fit to the environment.
Scale color, posture, grip, all blend into the forest's structure.
A snake gliding over a log looks slow, but every move is precise. Then it stops, as if no dangerous creature ever passed by. From above, no one sees the silent network moving under the green leaves.
The mainland is not far, but for the island species, it is another world.
The sea doesn't just stop humans, it locks evolution into a small space.
In that space, one snake became the symbol of the whole island.
Each layer of scales reflects light differently, helping it vanish. A short tongue flick is enough to read the world through smell and heat. For a stranger, losing sight of one snake makes every direction dangerous. Steep terrain, fallen leaves, and thick forest make movement a constant risk.
A slip here is dangerous not just because of the fall, but because of what might be next to you.
Snakes don't need to find humans. If a human steps in the wrong place, the distance is already too close.
So the restrictions are not to make the island mysterious, but to reduce real risks. It also prevents humans from disturbing a very special population. Despite being scary, the Golden Lancehead is a species that needs conservation. An isolated ecosystem is more vulnerable to outside changes. If migratory bird patterns change, the island's food chain could be affected. And when the food chain changes, even the dangerous predator becomes fragile. A feather on a branch is not just a sign of fear, but of ecological dependence.
Snake Island is where everything is linked in a small, tense scope.
Every snake here is not just a threat, but a link in an evolutionary story. From above, that life is surrounded by water, like a secret kept by the ocean. The cliffs are a stopping point for birds, but the edge of a dangerous territory. Just meters from the edge, the landscape shifts from open sea to thick shadow. In that boundary, a snake can lie still while waves roar below. A small island, but not simple, for every direction can be a barrier. Sometimes the sea is so calm, the island looks like a place to visit for a few minutes. But one look at the forest floor makes that thought naive and dangerous. A snake lying still can control the space around it just by its defense. And the scariest part is how many more might be out of sight. The canopy covers them completely, turning the island into a living mystery. As it moves from sun to shade, the yellow body vanishes. The empty space left behind tells the viewer that danger hasn't left. It just moved.
Between the sea and the forest, Snake Island is a natural trap that no one built.
When the wind picks up, the island feels even more distant and self-contained. Rain on the leaves erases traces, making the forest harder to read. Under a large leaf, a snake stays dry, while water slides off its scales. It all happens slowly, but in that slowness, the island is always alert. After the rain, light returns, but it doesn't make the island more friendly. Under wet leaves, small movements suggest a creature just passed by. A snake appears, then glides through the forest like a thin brown shadow. It stops for a long time, and that stillness makes everything hold its breath. Then it vanishes, leaving a forest that looks normal but feels unsafe. Snake Island doesn't need attacks to show its danger.
Just knowing the venomous resident is there changes everything.
It is a fear that comes from knowledge, not from blood or screams. Every dark spot could be a shadow or a snake. The ability to blend in makes the eyes always slower than the danger. On the edge, seabirds still land, seemingly separate from the forest. But between the shore and the trees, they are closer than we think.
A snake can lie where it hears the waves and waits for birds.
Life here is layered, from the coastal rocks to the dark branches. In those layers, the Golden Lancehead found a way to exist that few others could. The sea surrounds them like a wall, but also the reason for their unique story.
Without that isolation, this snake might not have become the island's symbol.
Its danger is not separate from its beauty, for both were born from the same place. The pale scales are not just an ID, but a perfect camouflage suit. When leaves move, you don't know if it's the wind or something slithering.
A snake can lie where it hears the waves and waits for birds.
But no matter how attractive, this is not a place for curiosity to turn into recklessness. Some places are best seen from afar, to let them exist in their own way. Keeping distance is not cowardice, but respect for an ecosystem's boundary.
Snake Island doesn't need humans to prove it is special.
The traces humans left are small, while the island belongs to nature.
The forest is covering those traces, returning the island to its true residence.
In that return, the snake is not an invader. It is native.
The island belongs to those who adapted to it, not to the human desire to conquer. Waves repeat endlessly, reminding us the boundary is still guarded. Every yellow leaf falling can be new camouflage for a snake. Those eyes don't show malice, just survival honed by time. The body coils slowly, but inside is a reaction speed no one should underestimate. As it fades into the shade, the island closes a door. Sunset darkens the forest, while the sea glows like a ring of fire. From the sea, it looks beautiful, making it easy to forget no one should land. But inside, light leaves quickly, leaving thick, silent shadows. A snake glides through the dusk, just a curve of shadow. Above, birds fly over, unaware of the world waiting below. Snake Island doesn't sleep the way we think. Other senses take over. Night falls, and the island is a dark mass in the Atlantic. In that darkness, water drops on leaves reflect the moon like small eyes. Snakes lie between light and shadow, close enough to see, hidden enough to vanish. The night makes the island feel like a breathing creature. Then dawn comes, and the island is green, beautiful, and lonely again. Light only shows the surface. The secrets stay with the forest. A snake appears in the early light, a reminder that a new day doesn't make it safe. It crawls over roots, surely, as if it knows every fold of the earth. Above, bird calls start the day's cycle. Below, the predator lies still, listening with its whole body. Not every hunt happens. Sometimes patience is the biggest part of survival. And in those waits, the forest stays green, the waves crash, and the island remains apart. Snake Island is not large, but it holds a story of evolution and human limits. The endemic species here makes us fear and makes science pay attention. Their venom is not just a threat, but a subject of important biological research. But research must go with conservation, for an isolated population can't take big disturbances. The Golden Lancehead, one of the world's most venomous snakes, exists only on a tiny island off the coast of Brazil. If bird patterns shift, the silent balance could break. Then, the predator we fear could become a victim of isolation.
So Snake Island is not just a forbidden place, but a place that needs protection.
Protecting it doesn't mean making it a tourist spot, but letting it be. Sometimes the best thing we can do for nature is not to enter. Seeing from afar doesn't make the story smaller, it makes the boundary clearer. The snake on the branch doesn't know it's famous, it just lives by the island's rules. And that simplicity makes nature stronger than any human story.
The lighthouse might remind us of people, but the island doesn't revolve around them.
Moss and leaves cover the ruins, a slow but unstoppable time. The snake passes through them as if they were any other part of the wild. Snake Island doesn't need to be romanticized. The truth is enough. A small island, a unique snake, and a boundary we shouldn't cross. That simplicity creates a very real fear. without needing drama. A tongue flick says the predator is still reading the space. And when the frame is empty, the danger feels even wider. Snake Island is where human absence makes the story stronger. No footsteps, no tourists, just waves, wind, and silent snakes.
They don't need to be everywhere. Just knowing they are there changes every leaf.
A bird lands, and for a few seconds, the forest holds its breath.
No need to show what happens next. The imagination knows the tension.
The bird leaves, and the island returns to its familiar stillness.
In that silence, the snakes remain, a part of the island's soul.
As the sun sets, the island is a silhouette against the fire. Beautiful, cold, and mysterious. Its shadow falls on the sea, a reminder that some places don't need to open their doors. Inside, the forest is dark, and every detail melts into blue-black. A snake glides through the twilight, a curve of the night. Above, birds pass, not knowing the world below. Snake Island doesn't end its story at dusk. It just pulls down a green curtain. Behind that curtain, the misunderstood creatures live by the instincts evolution gave them. Night comes again, and the ocean keeps the island in its cold hands. In the forest, we don't need to see the snakes to feel them. They lie there, not knowing they are called a nightmare, just continuing to exist. Then dawn will come, and the island will be green again, as if it never hid any danger.
From afar, it is beautiful and peaceful, making us want to know what's inside.
But the answer is under the leaves. Some secrets are best left untouched. The sea between is not just distance, but a lesson in respect. The further we leave, the more we understand. Not every dangerous place needs to be conquered. Sometimes, to save a world, the right thing is to let it continue without us. Snake Island is a green dot in the ocean, but it holds a big lesson on human limits. The lesson is not about fearing snakes, but about understanding they belong here. Birds fly, snakes wait, the forest is green, and the sea keeps the circle of isolation. Everything continues without an audience, without footsteps, without human voices. What we leave behind is just a small trace. The island belongs to nature. As it fades in the distance, Snake Island is like a whisper. Nature doesn't always open its doors for us.
And sometimes, the greatest respect is simply not setting foot where we do not belong.
life.